I could stray easy. Did I answer that?
That was a great answer. No,
Okay.
it was fairly broad in terms of the question. So you answered it perfectly. Joey, you're throwing a lot at us. And so it begs the question, well, couldn't you write this down? And you wrote a book, you're a published artist. You wrote Traveling America Broke. Now you basically gave us a synopsis of what you were going through and possibly what inspired that book. Was that shortly after your travels in Portland, or was that during?
Traveling America Broke was 96, and it took me a few years to get that done. Because again, it's like you're writing and you're revising, and I was just a kid, really, and it's just like, how do you even turn this into a book? And my idea was, well, you get a job at Kinko's. That's how you print a book,
Sure.
Now you can order it off of Lulu, and that's like an easy way to do stuff. Like, we have so much more access and so many more resources now, But the travels were interspersed, like I had that experience and I was already jotting it down. And then I still kept craving the West Coast and up the Northwest. And then it felt like I had this voice, I had this potential. I know how to organize, which I think is just about calling it. Like, that's all I think organizing is about, is like, I want to see something happen. I'm going to start talking about it. I'm going to start telling people. I'm going to start planning. This event's going to happen,
Good.
And so it's all about that same time, and that's when we had that the House Mob Action University on Don Carlos in Tempe, and I was like 2000, and I started to feel myself more as having a potential to do things and to start it up. And I think everyone has that, but sometimes it's just a matter of being emboldened or inspired and going for it, and I think years of running the Anarchist Library, I was talking about this earlier, that you're okay if people don't show up to your event. Like, just know that you're doing cool events, right? We could document it. And that's the cool thing about documenting now, is like, we could record everything.
Yeah.
Most of these media platforms, you could upload gigs and gigs of video every day, just talking whatever, showing it, highlighting it, so that all kind of coalesced into me feeling like I can help produce and platform underground culture in my city. And that's what I want to do. That's my calling. That's what I felt like I should be doing. And it's evolved. I feel like we lost Fifth Street. That's not totally true, but I left at some point, 2012-ish, and I kind of came back to my neighborhood, and I was like, you know what, man, like, I'm going to bring Fifth Street home. That's kind of when I started pivoting into like working with the Hive and the Coronado neighborhood and stuff, is it felt like not only is this culture necessary and relevant, but it's necessary and relevant for every neighborhood to create a culture, to develop a culture, to embrace themselves, what's available, and what to do.
Yeah, no, that's right. I would encourage my students when I was teaching in the avenues, I would say, the ticket to becoming kind of hood famous, if you will, or to kind of getting that respect in your neighborhood, is to leave your neighborhood and then come back having developed something which supports the community in your neighborhood.
Right.
So that's I tell them, like, it's, you don't get it from getting locked up or getting in trouble. That's not where it is. It's from helping out the community. And speaking of teaching, you also have stepped into the classroom as a teacher. You developed as well a math circle, which was, am I wrong, featured on the Discovery Channel, or?
Not really wrong, but that was so that was a combination of things, right? So like, I was making coffee at Joe-Bot, and then I had a friend coming in there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm subbing. I'm making about $100 a day.
Okay.
All you need is a bachelor's degree." And like, I already had a degree in anthropology and culture, And I was like, "Hey, I could do that," And that was at that point, like, I came up with this project, the 12X Spiral, on 12-12-12, right? Like, I was at home working on this with my family, just kind of trying to figure this out, trying to unravel a system of helping my kid learn numbers and letters better. And I was just trying hard. Like, I spent some time with it. I spent some days with it. I sat there and stared at this, like the first 27 numbers wrapped in a loop. And then I was like, holy shit, look at this. Let's look at multiples of 3. Let's look at multiples of 4. And I was like, and that day is when I realized they were, that all the primes fall in positions 5, 7, 11, and 1, and then it just made me feel more empowered as an educator. And then I felt like, okay, I'll sub, I'll share this. Like, I really just wanted to create a learning tool company and hustle it. You know what I mean? Like flip Mob Action into 12X Spiral and make it more about kids and celebrating and learning mathematics. But it's not that easy. Like, who cares about a math tool from a barista? You know what I mean? Like, that's not really anything someone's going to celebrate, And so I put it out there and I got some love, but not as much as I thought I should get for it. Like, I felt like I could help change mathematics and people didn't care. So I hoaxed it. Like, I was working with Paul Horner, and I consider myself a writer, but I'm about fun and culture and doing things. And he had a hoaxing site. Like, he had a platform for throwing ideas out. So I worked with him already, and we had done some projects about robot McDonald's or whatever. And I forget the other one, but there's a number of them that we did, but he let me put the 12X Spiral on there and just said Tesla did it. Mm-hmm. And actually that was a neighbor that helped me come up with that. Was that Mark Oxborough helped me come up with the idea of like pitching it as Tesla came up with it. Because you guys don't care about my idea. Well, look at this idea I found that Tesla did. So then it was like, it was just an easy way to share the idea. And I got to the point where I was afraid that I was going to live and die and nobody was going to see this like understanding that I had realized, like it really burst the bubble for me of entrepreneurship, right? Like, we have this idea in America that like you come up with a good idea, you're set, you know what I mean? Like you just market it. And I felt like I had a good idea and I felt like I could market it. And it didn't seem like anybody was paying any attention. I throw Tesla's name on it and it's like, oh my God, he's unraveled numbers. You know what I mean? Like, people didn't even know what the hell they're talking about, but they want to talk about it. So that's how I got that's how people picked it up. And that's how it got more views, more eyes. I had like 1 million views on Imgur or whatever, so that's kind of like one of the biggest things I've been able to do. And that's how I got on Discovery or whatever. Wow. And it kind of led me into education. It made me really feel like we need more. Most people say they hate math. You say math, like, oh, I don't like math, but so it made me feel like there's a need. And I also needed a job. I need some job security. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, let me help develop my understanding of mathematics. I've always been pretty good at it, but let me help develop more math projects. And that's kind of what I've tried to do, lean into and all that.
Okay, gotcha. So Tesla name dropping in the science world. It's interesting how far that'll get you. Speaking of name dropping, Brad B is in the Drunken Immortals, also the Insects. He's the co-host of the Foul Ball podcast. I noticed that Mike Cause, who is co-MC from the Drunken Immortals, was in your Imaginary Learning episode. He was the voice of the crocodile. A lot of fun. Tell us, how did your paths cross? I've been a fan of Drunken Immortals since '96 when I got here in Arizona, but tell me more. This show's about you and how you produce these things. But I want to know about your influence, also your relationship with Mike Cause and the Drunken Immortals, Joey G.
So Mike did all the music for Imaginary Learning too, like most all of it, right? And we've been great friends forever. Like, I feel like we really just appreciate each other's perspectives and the art that we produce, And when I did the Mob Action University House in Don Carlos, that was what, 97 to 2000. Drunken was out there. Brad lived up the street. Mike was out there, and we all kind of met at Sub Society, like the skate shop. Kind of hung out around there. That was like it's like a place to hang out. And then Peter Jungle was right there. We knew like people had partners that worked there, and it was just like a cool spot to be and hang out at. And then but I think it was about during that era during Sub Society. And then Drunken was just like an anthem to me, man. Like, they probably will always be my favorite band. I mean, like, the full live hip hop music with like political, conscious, fun lyrics. You know what I mean? So it just gravitated. Like, I felt like they felt like Mob Action, the clothing label I was doing, was representative of what they're interested in, and they were kind of like the anthem to what we were all up to too, And So we'd throw parties together. I think we did Nitty Gritty 4 at my house. They had played Nitty Gritty 3 at Tona Tierra, you know, so like I felt like we would have crossed paths no matter what, but we did really at Sub Society. And then I love those dudes. Like I feel like what they were up to and what their projects were like provided space for so many people thinking the same way in Tempe at that time, you know. And then they let me travel with them before, you know, I got to roadie with them. And I think we've just been fans of each other and friends like ever since, you know. And like I don't know, like I just wish more people were able to like tune in to that era, to that time, you know, like. But yeah, so and me and Mike talk quite a bit still, you know. We both had kids about the same time. We lived together for a period of time. And Brad too, like I don't know, they're like lyrical geniuses that just had like a sick click, and I feel like I was part of it. And you know, that was like blow up co-op days, you know, with Morse code, and just anyone that was like kind of vibing and partying in Tempe, and what